It is 2 a.m. The house is silent. In that specific way houses get silent at night. Not peaceful, but loaded. Like the silence itself is listening. You need to use the bathroom. It's 12 steps down the hallway. You have walked that hallway 10,000 times. In daylight it takes 4 seconds. But the light is off. And so you lie there, completely still, doing the calculation. How fast could you run? Whether the sound you just heard was the house settling or something else. Whether whatever is in the dark already knows you're awake. You are not in danger. You know this. Some part of your brain is fully aware that you live in a suburban house with a deadbolt and 2 parents asleep 20 feet away. Nothing has changed between 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. except the light. And yet, the fear is real, specific, almost alive, and no amount of knowing better makes it go away. So where does it come from? Why does darkness do this to a species that landed on the moon, mapped the genome, and invented the microwave? Why does turning off a light reduce a grown adult to something that wants, desperately, to pull the blanket over its head? The answer goes back further than you think. Much further, and by the end of this, you will never think about a dark room the same way again. The first thing to understand is that fear of the dark is not a phobia. A phobia is a misfiring, an irrational response to something genuinely harmless. A spider in a country with no venomous spiders. A pigeon. An open window on the 3rd floor. Fear of the dark is different. Fear of the dark is a rational response that simply hasn't updated its software in 50,000 years. Here's what your ancestors knew that you've forgotten. For almost the entire span of human existence, night was genuinely, statistically, lethally dangerous. Not metaphorically, not as vague anxiety, as a real, daily mortality calculation. The African savanna at night was not a place you wandered. Leopards hunt at night. Hyenas hunt at night. Lions hunt at night. And none of them need light to find you. You, however, absolutely needed light to find them. Darkness meant the playing field tilted entirely away from you. Your eyesight, already mediocre compared to most predators, became almost useless. Your hearing couldn't compensate. Your speed advantage disappeared. You were slower, blinder, and more alone than at any other point in the day. The humans who weren't scared of the dark, they went out into it. And they didn't come back. The humans who stayed close to the fire, who felt that specific cold dread when the flames got low, who woke at 2 a.m. convinced something was out there. Those humans survived. They passed their caution down, and down, and down. You are the descendant of the scared ones. That's not an insult. That's the reason you exist. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not really the dark you're afraid of. It's what the dark implies. Studies show that fear of the dark in adults spikes not in completely dark environments, but in environments where visibility is partial, where you can see shapes but not details, where something could be there, where your brain receives just enough information to start filling in the gaps. And your brain is catastrophically good at filling in gaps. This is a system called predictive threat detection. Your brain is not passively waiting for danger to show itself. It is constantly, aggressively running simulations. What could be behind that door? What made that sound? What is that shape in the corner that looks different than it did a moment ago? In full light, the brain checks its predictions against reality and discards the false alarms immediately. In the dark, it can't. So it keeps all of them running. Every possibility, every candidate, every worst case, active and unresolved all at once. Every shadow is a candidate. Every sound is evidence. The system designed to keep you alive keeps every possibility open until proven otherwise. The monster under the bed isn't a childhood delusion. It's the predictive threat system doing exactly what it was built to do, in conditions where it cannot verify or dismiss anything. The monster is your brain taking its job seriously. There's a second layer to this. And it's cultural, not biological. Every human civilization, every single one without exception, has populated the dark with something. Demons, jinn, ghosts, spirits, shadow creatures, things without names that only come when the fire dies. The specific shapes change across cultures. The underlying structure never does. This is not coincidence. This is not mass delusion. This is cultural memory functioning as a warning system. Before writing, before recorded history, Before anything could be documented and passed down as fact, the most important survival knowledge a community had was stored in story. And the most durable stories were the ones attached to the strongest emotions. Fear is the strongest. So the knowledge that night is dangerous, that you should stay in, stay close, stay alert, got encoded not as instruction, but as mythology. The monster didn't need to be real to be true. The monster was a delivery mechanism for a survival lesson that needed to outlast any single generation. Your ancestors couldn't tell you. Statistically, large predator encounters increase sharply in the hours after sundown. So they told you instead, something lives in the dark. It takes people. Don't go out. It worked. For hundreds of thousands of years, it worked. So why does it still work on you? You have electric light, you have locks, you have a phone with a torch on it. You live, statistically, in the safest period of human history. Here's the uncomfortable answer. Your brain doesn't know that. Not at the level where fear operates. The prefrontal cortex, the part that knows you're safe, that calculates risk rationally, that understands deadbolts and statistics, is slow, deliberate. It takes time to process. The amygdala, the ancient, fast, deeply buried structure that processes threat, is not slow. It doesn't wait for evidence. It fires first and asks questions later. By the time your rational brain has finished forming the thought, it's probably fine, your amygdala has already flooded your body with adrenaline, spiked your heart rate, and sharpened your hearing to the point where you can hear your own pulse. This is not a design flaw. In the environment this system was built for, that speed was the difference between life and death. A prey animal that waits to confirm the threat before reacting is a dead prey animal. You are not a prey animal anymore. But the system doesn't have an update setting. It runs the ancient code on the modern hardware and produces the same ancient output, which is why you know completely and rationally that your hallway is empty, and you still don't want to walk down it alone. There is something almost tender in this when you sit with it long enough. That fear, the one that grips you at 2 a.m., the one that feels childish and embarrassing and completely irrational, is 50,000 years of ancestors keeping watch. Every person who ever huddled close to a dying fire. Every mother who pulled her child back from the tree line at dusk. Every sentinel who stayed awake through the cold hours, heart loud, scanning the darkness so that the rest of the camp could sleep. Their vigilance is in you, running right now, underneath the rational mind, underneath the part that knows about deadbolts and LED bulbs and the statistical improbability of being eaten in your own home. It never turned off. It just got quieter. The next time you wake in the dark and the silence feels loaded and your heart is going faster than it should, know that you are not being irrational. You are being ancient. You are running the oldest software our species ever wrote, hardware that was never meant to be updated. It was written by firelight, by people who made it through the night so that eventually, impossibly, you could lie in your safe house in your safe bed and be afraid of nothing in exactly the way they taught you. The dark hasn't changed, we just forgot what used to live in it.